Today's episode is probably not what you're thinking. I want to collect a figure, I search for it, I unbox it, I place it inside that case. Today, it's more like watch a beginning collector make some mistakes so that you don't have to. And that's kind of what the series is sometimes. I'm learning as I go along. Welcome back to the journey. And if you're new, we are collecting the entire Kenner Star Wars line from 1977 to 1985. And yes, we started from scratch. So if you need to go back and binge watch those episodes to catch up, please do. Today, we are gonna go on a true odyssey. More like I wanna show you my mistakes. So in the beginning, when I was searching for this, I thought it was gonna be easy, but it turned out to be a 2-month search. So what am I talking about? Well, what is the best band in Star Wars history? Is it the Cantina Band? Is it the opera singer in Revenge of the Sith? Or is it that other opera singer in The Last Jedi? If a figure doesn't exist of her, we need one. Well, I think that it's this band.
Introducing Size Noodles and the Rebo Band. Jabba the Hutt action playset sold separately.
It is the Snice Noodles and the Max Rebo Band, the hottest band in Jabba's palace. They were hired by Jabba to play in his court and played music that Jabba demanded himself, sometimes asking them to play songs over and over and over again. And when the band traveled on Jabba's barge to play music while our heroes Luke, Leia, and Han and the rest of the team escaped and blew up the barge, all of the members survived the explosion. But soon after, the band sadly broke up, like the intergalactic Beatles. Well, I was excited because I attempted to get them all. And of course, as a kid, I never had these, so I really was excited to get these into my collection. And I told you, it was a 2-month odyssey. So it began 2 months ago when I started this collection, and I started on eBay, where someone had got to be selling those. And we found a bunch of items. Some just had one member. Some just had the mics, mostly repro. Some boxed, which that is nice, and that is still on my list of things to get. But with those prices that I saw, I think I just wanted to find one that has the loose figures with the accessories. And it was kind of hard to find. So we found a good item with the seller that had a good rep, but it was missing one mic. So this is where the lesson starts. So I was so happy that I had found the band and I had found one mic that I just figured it's gonna be easy to find another mic, right? So the packaging came super nice, all protected and all in separate bags and very well protected. And honestly, I should start having a face cam when I open these because I had a huge smile on my face the entire time. I wanted these characters so bad since I was a kid. Check out how Sny looks. She looks great. This character comes with her skirt and her mic. Droopy McCool, who looks like the intergalactic Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. This guy is a great looking character. He comes with his flute and Max Rebo. This one is a little bit discolored, but I'm placing it for my display, so I wasn't about to buy a mint blue figure. And this guy came with these excellent keyboards. Some things to look for is to make sure that the keyboard has all of the keys. And I told you, look for Max's skin color. Again, we weren't that picky on Max. Maybe we should have been, but we got one that was definitely in good condition. These figures looked great. But I am missing one mic. And as I was unboxing, I noticed that something did not look right. And those of you with a keen eye already know what I'm talking about. And it was 2 months ago where I barely started this collection, so I hadn't gone to the reference sites before I bought the figures, which is a mistake. Don't ever do that. If you're a new collector or you're getting into these Kenner figures from 1977 to 1985, you're really gonna learn from my mistakes. So like I said, I didn't do the research before, but I knew something was wrong. So looking at these reference sites, look at these side by side. Yes, the microphone is broken. So we went back to eBay and read that nowhere in that description does the seller say that the mic was broken. And I was pretty bummed that the seller didn't say in that description that the mic was broken. And ultimately, it was my fault for not checking and going to learn about the figures and the accessories first. But that's not the only mistake. There is more, and it gets worse. So remember when I told you that I went on eBay and I found the figure and it just had one mic? Well, I never knew how hard it was to find these mics. I mean, on eBay, you can find the repro mics easy as heck, but original ones, they're hard to come by. So I went on a hunt and I did my usual in search of. I'm a fan of in search of. And I even asked sellers that I knew, and nobody was selling those mics. Nobody even had them to sell. And if they did, it already belonged in their collection and they are not gonna part with those mics. And when a lot of mics did come up, and it did come up once, and a seller was doing a claim sale, not just on one set of mics, but 5 sets of mics, it was during the middle of the day. And me, like many of you, have a day job. And I swear in about 10 minutes, they were all gone. Even the broken ones were gone. These things are in super high demand. So if you're looking for one, start now. They're in so much demand. I've seen one single mic selling for about $65 and the flute selling for the same price, sometimes even higher. And when I was starting out collecting and I looked at the price, I mean, if you saw episode 2, you saw that a Leia helmet was going for $78. And what did I call that?
That is ridiculous.
I called it ridiculous. That's the same thing I thought about this for a small piece of plastic for $70. Yes. Back then, I thought that was ridiculous. So after a month of searching, I did another in search of. And this time somebody actually answered my in search of. And it was from a Facebook group that only sells non-reproduction items. So I did trust this seller. I had seen him sell to other people before. I looked at it, looked at the reference sites, and I was confident that it was legit. And I bought it for $44. Which, yeah, it's lower than 65, but I still thought that it was expensive for one little mic. I did ask people if this is actually a legit price, and a lot of collectors said, yeah, that is the going rate for those mics right now. And it might be a little bit on the cheaper side. And at that time, I was barely a couple weeks into my journey. I still thought that was shocking. I still think it's shocking. So the mic was perfect, and it was boxed super nice, might I add. I mean, for one item, and one small one at that, I gotta give the seller props on this boxing to ensure that my item was gonna be safe. Those mics are notorious for breaking, so I'm glad that the seller sent my item with care. I mean, you can tell when collectors send you stuff and they package it that nice, that's a collector selling to another collector. I appreciate that. So I thought I was going in the right direction. But then maybe 2 weeks goes by and I'm actually on the hunt for the Droopy McCool mic. But then I see a question come up on one of the Facebook groups. Somebody asked the question, why are there black and silver mics for the Max Rebo band? Does it make a difference? And I thought, no, it shouldn't make a difference. You can either collect the silver mics or you can collect the black mics. Why should it matter? But everyone in the Facebook group said this: if Droopy McCool has a black flute, the mics have to be silver. If he has a silver flute, the mics must be black. Was I getting trolled? I mean, if about 10 collectors said the same thing, the answer is probably no. So we checked the variant villain, the Jedi archives, we checked the Imperial gunnery, and hidden away in the archives, we finally found the info for the band. And what we did find in tiny print says, quote, note the color combinations for the flute and mics are black flute with silver mic stands, silver flute with black mic stands. So this is why you should always do your research before you buy something, especially if it's the first time that you're gonna own this figure or the first time you're gonna own a playset, vehicle, anything. Research before you buy. Since these things are so hard to find, I know that we can sell these things easy, so I know I can get rid of my black mic to somebody who needs it, and somebody always does. And I did end up selling it on that same Facebook group to a person who did need it, so that was good. But we still needed our mics, both of them. We have the black flute. So we went on with our collecting. Obviously, you've seen how filled up that case is getting, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and finally, somebody was selling them in a weapons lot. There were 2 shiny silver mics, both of them. It was like the heavens opened up and these 2 mics showed up on my screen. And so here's the good thing too. He was selling a Chief Chirpa staff, and I want to use this to bring in my OG Chirpa because I already have a hood on that one, so it's perfect. So I asked him if we can buy that as well. And he also had an Imperial Blaster, so I figured that we can get a Walrus Man or some other loose figure who comes with the Imperial Blaster and just buy that loose. And if not, we can always trade it. So we bought the lot for $90. Yeah, that's right. Pieces of plastic for $90. So we finally got the 2 mics that we needed. And after a long, drawn out process. I mean, this video might be 12 minutes or so, but in reality, this whole friggin' search took 2 long months. So finally, Jabba gets to hear his favorite puckery singer and Mr. Droopy McCool on the correct mics. So everyone watching, did you know this? Did you know that if it was a silver flute, you need black mics? If you had black mics, you need a silver flute? Let me know in the comments if you knew this because I did not. So I was and am genuinely stoked that this is finally in my collection, but now that I have them, I am never letting go of these guys. So let's go ahead and mark off Sny Snoodles, Max Rebo, and Droopy McCool. The band is back together again. And we also got our spear for the OG Chirpa, so I'm glad that we can include that for my childhood collection. So let's mark him off the list and give him an OG tag. Everyone, I want you to look at that price tag that I actually paid for the band. That is another mistake that I don't want you to make. I way overpaid for this band because I'm seeing total lots being sold on Facebook right now. So lesson learned on my end. And I'm glad that you can watch this so you do not make the same mistakes. And half of you are saying, I'm glad that you did it so I don't have to, which is true. But the good thing is that we can place all of these figures in our display and they go in the special place, in our case, just made for them. Here's the Chirpa. So yeah, we went on a 2-month Weird Odyssey. And really, if you guys didn't know that either, let me know in the comments. But at least you learned something at my expense. I'm glad I know now. I'm actually glad that I caught my mistake because could you imagine if I went and I proudly showed off the Max Rebo band in that collection and all of the comments I would have gotten about you have the wrong mic? I think that would have been more embarrassing than me finding it out on my own. But I did, and there you go. And just like G.I. Joe says,
and now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
So thank you for going on that weird journey with me. And if you found this video interesting, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that way you can follow the journey. And as always, thank you, and I will see you guys next time. If you're new to the channel, check out the welcome video, or just check out the next episode. And please subscribe if you want to follow the journey. And remember, there is no shame in being a Padawan.